missing 3 weeks with a sprained ankle, he returned last night and notched his 5th home run of the year. But the biggest blast of the night came from Eduardo Escobar. Making the most of his start, Escobar launched a 3-run shot over the wall against his former team. The Twins hope to carry that offense over tonight to support Santana, who takes to the mound with the 4th best ERA in all of baseball. The road trip continues tonight in Cleveland as the Twins open a 3-game series against the Indians. 2 teams meeting for the first time here at Progressive Field this season and meeting in a virtual tie atop the AL Central. Twins baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by State Farm. Welcome to Progressive Field, everyone. I'm Audra Martin. After picking up 2 more road wins in Chicago on this road trip, the Minnesota Twins continue to paint a very different picture than the team we saw a season ago. But the challenge gets a bit harder tonight as they take on the Cleveland Indians, the defending AL champs. The first time these 2 teams went head-to-head, well, it went in complete favor of the Indians. The 3-game sweep means the Twins have managed just 1 win in their last 10 outings against the Tribe. But maybe the road will change things. The Twins have posted a 7-1 record in their last 8 games away from home. That's the best road record in baseball going back to mid-April. And with 3 shots last night, the Twins now have home runs in their last 12 straight games. It's the longest Twin streak since July of 2002. Coming up next on Fox Sports North, Santana's last outing was the first rough outing we've seen from him in quite some time. Dick Bramer and Roy Smalley discuss how the Twins ace can get back on track tonight against the Indians.
Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Toyota. Tested, trusted, Toyota. Toyota, let's go places. By CenturyLink, connecting you to the power of the digital world. By Sanford Orthopedics and Sports Medicine, for the everyday competitor in all of us. And by Jeep. Test drive a Jeep brand vehicle at the Drive and Discover event going on now. Minnesota and Cleveland, the top two teams in the American League Central, opening up a 3-game series at Progressive Field, and the Twins will send their ace to the mound. Urban Santana's been very good, and like his team, he's been better away from home than he's been at Target Field. And we welcome you to Progressive Field. Dick Bramer along with Roy Smalley. This should be a fun weekend of baseball. And so far, it's been fun just about every time Urban Santana's taken the mound for the Twins.
He's pitched great, although the last couple of times out, he has not had his best command. What is command? Location, location, location. And against the Red Sox, trying to go in under Pedroia's hands, he leaves it up. That goes in the seats. Trying to go in under Benintendi's hands, leaves it over the inside middle. He goes in the seats. Fastball down the middle to Mookie Betts. Urban Santana doesn't like to throw the ball down the middle. Mookie Betts hits that in the seats, and then a hanging changeup right over the middle. And that ball gets deposited in the seats as well. Very uncharacteristic of Urban Santana. But the good news is here, really good numbers against the Cleveland Indians. You talk about location, this is what we're talking about right here. Fastballs on the corners, changeups down and away. If he gets his command back tonight, the Twins are going to have a real good chance of beating this real good Indians team.
Last month, the Indians came to Minnesota and swept the 3-game series. The Twins would like to do that here in Cleveland and stay on top in the American League Central. Goodness. A deep drive to left field. This is back and deep and gone. Gone. A 3-run home run for Kenny Vargas. A walk-off home run for Joe Bauer. A drive to left and deep. Escobar with a 3-run bomb. Remember, in the first few weeks of the season, run scoring was an issue for the Twins, but not over the last 2.5 weeks. And our cold hard facts brought to you by Clean Crisp Coors Light. The Twins have hit 22 long balls in the last 2.5 weeks.
Really swinging the bats well. They can go yard up and down the lineup, anchored by that guy in the third spot, Big Miguel Sano, sitting great.
Menard's batting order has Dozier, Mauer, Sano, then Kepler, Vargas, Rosario, Polanco, Castro, and Buxton. And Josh Tomlin will make the start for the Indians. Second appearance of the year against the Twins. He pitched pretty well against the Twins at Target Field back in April. And a fastball on the outside corner, strike one. Twins had touched Tomlin for 3 hits and a couple of runs in the first, and then they added another run later, but he had 1-2-3 innings in his 6-inning outing out in front, and it's 0-2.
There's his best pitch right there. Big over the top curveball. He doesn't throw real hard, but he'll throw a couple of speeds of fastball. He'll throw a little slider, change up. Best thing he does is change speeds and move the ball around the strike zone.
And driven to right field, and a nice running sliding catch by Brandon Guyer in right. And Dozier's retired, 1 away. Sinking line drive, and Guyer was fast enough to get there for the sliding catch. Northland Ford defense for the Indians. Michael Brantley's in left. Lonnie Chisenhall now getting some playing time in center field, and Guyer filling in right field. Ramirez, Lindor, Kipnis, Santana, the infielders. Yan Gomes behind the plate.
Guyer with a very, very nice catch, playing in right field where Chisenhall would normally play when Austin Jackson plays center. Austin Jackson hurt right now.
Strike one to Mauer. Average creeping up for Joe up to 248.
Joe's had a good couple of weeks, and he's hit Tomlin really, really well in the past. 400 over 25 at bats.
1-1. Tomlin pitches off the edge of the pitching rubber, way over on the first base side. And Mauer fouls it to the screen, 1-2. Indians of all things have some pitching issues. Here you can see the pitching rubber, and he pitches off of the side of the pitching rubber.
Wants to create an angle that's most advantageous to him, how he wants to pitch. I would think that would mean that he has a better look at the outside part of the plate where he wants to pitch left-hand hitters.
Two and two. And Joe has been called out on pitches at, on, or near the outside corner 3 or 4 times here on this road trip. And that'll bring up Miguel Sano with the bases empty.
Well, he's been on quite a tear. There's no question about it. He's hitting the ball out of the ballpark and all over the ballpark, from left field foul line to right field foul line. He has that kind of ability and that kind of strength, and he's starting to get confidence in the fact that that's going to be the kind of hitter he can be. All over the ballpark. The ballpark can't hold him.
Drive to right and deep. Going back is Guyer, and Sano hits one to right.
The ballpark cannot hold him. It doesn't matter what part of the field. I mentioned the other night in the broadcast that Gene Mauch once said about Reggie Jackson, he plays in smaller ballparks than the rest of us do. Well, that totally applies to Miguel Sano.
Jumping on the first pitch from Tomlin, just the 4th home run allowed by Tomlin, and the Twins again strike first in the first.
The ball pretty much down the middle, but I've watched Miguel taking batting practice both before the official batting practice back underneath the grandstand and also on the field, and he works very, very hard. You see right here what we're talking about, spreading the home runs all over the field, and that's so important for him because it will keep him on the ball, keep his average up there. He'll get more base hits, he'll walk more, he won't strike out as much. For him to know now that right field is as good as left field for him is a huge, huge understanding.
1-1 to Kepler, and now Kepler's to the left field corner, and Bradley chasing this one down, making the catch on the edge of the track. A couple of well hit balls, including Sano's 10th home run of the year. The Twins take the first lead. Cardinals team, and he put the Twins up early again in the first inning with another home run. The Menards, Terry Francona, of course, had his team get to the World Series, to the brink of a World Championship. Game 7, losing to the Cubs. And here's the Menards batting order for the Indians: Carlos Santana, Francisco Lindor, Michael Brantley, Edwin Encarnacion, Jason Kipnis, Jose Ramirez, Lonnie Chisenhall, Yan Gomes, and Brandon Guyer.
Urban Santana on the mound, as we talked about in the open. He's been so incredibly good with the command of his 3 pitches. Tim Laudner talked about it in the pregame show in our Twins Live, how he has a fastball, slider, and change. Needs to use them all and needs to command them, meaning he needs to throw them where he wants, when he wants to. He's real good for the first 5 games. Has struggled with that command just a little bit of late. See if he can get it back.
Carlos Santana will lead things off. Down and in, ball 1. Santana's second start. Irvin Santana's second start against Carlos Santana in the Indians. Irvin Santana started against Cleveland in the series finale at Target Field a couple of weeks ago. Outside now, 2-0. And Santana hung in there. He pretty much was a 2-pitch pitcher, a fastball and a changeup, because it was so cold. He said he could not get a feel for his breaking ball. Bouncer right side. Mauer gets the hop, and Irvin Santana to the bag, and Carlos Santana's retired. So it's 54 degrees here at game time, and Irvin Santana should be able to throw all of his pitches. Twins out in the field, just 10 errors on the year. Minnesota and Kansas City leading the American League in fewest errors. Rosario, Buxton, Kepler in the outfield. Sano, Polanco, Dozier, Mauer the infielders. Jason Castro back behind the plate. Chris Jimenez caught a good ball game last night. And now Francisco Lindor. Mentioned the Indians have some pitching issues, and lately again they've had a hard time scoring runs. And a disappointing road trip where they averaged just 3 runs scored per game.
Wouldn't think it's possible with that lineup that manager Terry Francona runs out there. You look up and down the lineup, and the first thing that occurs to me is, man, they're going to score 8-9 runs a game. But that's baseball, and that's especially hitting a baseball. It's difficult. It comes and goes for everybody. Sometimes it comes and goes for a team for a while. A good hitting team.
Lindor with a 1-1 count. Lindor hitting just fine. Of course, a switch hitter. A little better from the right side of the plate than the left side. Swing and a miss, 1-2. And Lindor jams, striking out, 2 down. With the Twins leading 1-0. Let's find Audra Martin.
Guys, it's time for our Car Soup scoop from the clubhouse. The Twins now have home runs in 13 straight games, and Paul Molitor says, yes, that streak's impressive. But what he's more impressed about is the fact that it's a bunch of different guys like Eduardo Escobar and Kenny Vargas, who are knocking them out of the park. And despite the outing last night, Matt Belisle still has full confidence from his manager. Molitor says that it was almost like a closing situation last night, and he wasn't getting the calls for strikes on some really good pitches. And speaking on Miguel Sano, Molitor says last year there was a lot made about the outside noise, what he brought to the ballpark, but this year he says Miguel puts the team completely before himself, and that's a great sign of just how mature he's becoming as a player. Guys.
Thank you, Audra. 2 down, and Michael Brantley at the plate taking a strike, now taking ball 1. Now home runs in 13 straight games, and there are only 4 other Twins teams that have done that. You were a part of most of those. We'll talk about that here if we get a chance in this at bat. 1-1. Sharp ground ball up the middle, and Brantley keeps the inning alive. That'll get Encarnacion to the plate. In 1987, from late May to early June, Twins homered in 13 straight games and hit 24 home runs in that stretch. You were on that team.
Yep.
You're also on the team in '86. April 18th to May 3rd, 14 straight games.
Yep.
And then in 1988, you weren't a part of this one, 14 straight from August 4th to the 17th. But the longest streak, you were prominently involved with the team in 1979, from April 28th to May 15th, 16 games in a row. And that was your best season and your best first half of your career. So you must have.
And that streak might have been the best streak for me of that first half. That was we were pounding the baseball at that point in time. Of course, I remember that pretty well.
Encarnacion with a 1-0 count. Dribbler in front of the mound, and Castro will clean it up. And Santana has a scoreless first inning, and the Twins have a 1-0 lead. As your first half in 1979 was, you didn't hit all those home runs in that 16-game stretch. You probably had a little help from, let's see, Kenny Landreau hit 15.
Yep.
Ron Jackson hit 14.
Glenn Adams hit some home runs.
But that was a great streak. The team in 1979 actually had a winning record by season's end, 82-80. You said earlier you guys were in there was no wild card back then. You were in the division hunt.
We sure were, right into September, and then we just couldn't close the deal in September.
Vargas has jumped into the lineup and hit with a lot of power too, particularly from the left side of the plate. Just 25 at bats as a left-handed batter, but he's got a double and 4 home runs.
He swung the bat very, very well as a left-handed hitter, been very selective, picked out pitches that he can handle well, and when he's gotten it, he hasn't missed it.
Pulled it foul, and it's 1-2. In tonight's lineup, Max Kepler is hitting between Miguel Sano and Kenny Vargas, but we've seen one big man follow another in the lineup.
I like this stretch, Sano, Kepler, Vargas. I think that's a nice run of hitters where you have power and average and some power and then more power. Be tough for as we look at Max Kepler there, kind of the man in the middle between two guys that have the chance to strike out a lot. So I think the manager puts somebody in the lineup in between that maybe wouldn't be a strikeout prone as maybe having Kenny Vargas behind that big man Miguel Sano. That might be a little bit vulnerable to the strikeout.
And there's the outside corner that rung up Mauer in the first inning. And it gets Vargas to start the second. You can imagine tremendous power from Sano and protected in the lineup by a powerful switch hitter.
Well, it really depends on Kenny Vargas. I mean, how far he's going to go and how powerful this lineup looks. He's got awesome potential at the plate. There's no question about it. And it really makes you pretty excited to think about the 1-2 punch that these guys could be. It looks like right now it's depending on Kenny Vargas to get his right-handed stroke going and bring real power consistency.
Tomlin again hits the outside corner on the first pitch to Rosario. A swing and a miss, 0-2. Rosario's average good. 3 home runs, 11 runs batted in. That time Tomlin missed the outside corner. 1-2.
You can see how Mike Tomlin wants to pitch. Fastballs in, fastballs away, big overhand curveball. There it is again.
Tapper right side, easy play for Kipnis. 2 down. And that'll bring up Jorge Polanco. I mentioned the Indians have some pitching problems, and the Twins won't see their ace, Corey Kluber, who was eligible to come off the 10-day disabled list, but his back is still not allowing him to rejoin the team. You can see Kluber's numbers not Kluber-like, with an ERA of over 5, and in fact the other members of the Cleveland rotation other than Carlos Carrasco had a very disappointing start. Trevor Bauer, who the Twins will see on Sunday, 7.36 earned run average. Danny Salazar with a 5.20 earned run average. 1-0 to Polanco. Pulled foul.
Very un-Cleveland-like. They're not pitching well, starting pitching wise, which you would think would be one of their strengths, and this lineup isn't hitting right now the way you would think. But it's a long season, and talent will out at some point in time. Those hitters are going to hit, and I think the pitchers are going to pitch.
Popped up near the Cleveland dugout and out of play. There's some concern about Salazar because he was injured last year, came back and pitched out of the bullpen at the end of the year, but he had some forearm issues that surfaced at Target Field last year, and he really hasn't been the same pitcher since. Clevenger on the right will make the start tomorrow. Bauer on the left. One and 2 to Jorge Polanco. Tried to hit that outside corner. You were right with Tomlin way over on the first base side. He's exploited that outside corner a number of times. He got Mauer on a strikeout. He got Vargas on a strikeout.
And he's trying to throw it 2 different directions out there too, meaning as Polanco grounds out. We'll talk about what he's trying to do out there next time out.
A 1-2-3 second inning for Josh Tomlin. Baseball on Fox Sports North is presented by Chevrolet, the #1 selling brand in the Twin Cities. And by State Farm. Combine home and auto and see how much money you can save. The Friday night crowd here at Progressive Field. And the Indians who thrilled the fans here with a World Series run last year. Anticipation is they'll be in the postseason hunt again. Once the distraction of the Cleveland Cavaliers passes, that people will be more focused on baseball, perhaps. Summer months. Here's Jason Kipnis just off the disabled list. Off to a slow start. And Santana starts him with strike 1. Kipnis, Ramirez, and Chisenhall facing Irvin Santana. Down and in, 1-1. Swing and a miss. Paul Molitor today, in talking about Santana's performance against the Red Sox, suggested that even in the start before against Oakland, Santana wasn't as sharp as he had been. There's a dribbler foul. And then you look at the numbers that he put up against Oakland. 6 innings, 3 hits, 3 walks, 7 strikeouts, no runs. That's how good he's been. But he wasn't as sharp as he had been in April.
That's true. But the thing about that is that there are different ball clubs that he's been pitching against. And when you can afford, pitcher can be not quite as sharp as other times when you're pitching against the Oakland A's for you right now, for example, than when you're pitching against the Boston Red Sox. And the difference between a good hitting team and a bad hitting team is the number of mistakes that are hit or not hit. Oakland missed some pitches.
Nice pickup by Bauer, getting the first hop and going to the bag, 1 away. Let's get the big story tonight from Audra Martin.
Guys, things are finally coming around for Mike Napoli. After a slow start, the Rangers' first baseman had a huge night last night versus the Padres, including this monster 3-1 walk-off home run, his second homer of the night. And in Arizona, Zach Greinke hoping for the no-no. Instead, it's a no-go. He'd have to settle for 1 hit, 11 strikeouts in 8 solid innings of work against the Pirates.
We have not had a no-hitter yet this year. Thank you, Audra. 1 down. Here's Jose Ramirez.
So anyway, what I was getting at is that you could tell that the start before the Red Sox game and even a little bit before that, Irvin didn't have his best command. But he got away with it because he was very, very good, and because the opposing hitters weren't quite as good as those Red Sox hitters. And I don't think he was all that bad. Not a whole lot different against the Red Sox than he was against Oakland. But when he made a couple of mistakes, the Red Sox hitters hit him in the seats, and that's the difference with a really good hitting team.
Big pop up near second base. Dozier getting under it. Out number 2. And it'll bring up Lonnie Chisenhall. Well, given the market in which he's pitching, we'll take 6 innings, 3 hits, no runs, sharp or not.
Absolutely. He's been, you know, I would tell you that he wasn't nearly as bad against the Red Sox as the 6 runs that he gave up and the 4 home runs that he gave up would indicate. He wasn't, when I say wasn't nearly as bad, he wasn't nearly as different as the other as he was in the other starts as you might think.
You make a mistake to Benintendi, and he's going to make you pay these days.
And Pedroia and Mookie Betts is killing the ball, and so yeah, I mean. Pitching and hitting in the big leagues is all about hitting the mistakes.
1-0 to Chisenhall. Bouncer to second. Dozier played it like you're supposed to. Play the hop off your chest, pick it up, and throw them out.
That's the way I used to do it.
Sports North is presented by Northland Ford. Visit buyfordnow.com and your local Northland Ford dealer today. By Grand Casino, the best stories start here. And by Menards. Save big money at Menards on all your home improvement needs. At 9-4, the Twins have the best road record in the major leagues. Irvin Santana with a couple of shutout innings. It's 1-0 here tonight. And Jason Castro will lead off the third. And an off-speed pitch over the outside corner, strike one.
Started to talk a little bit last inning Tomlin was on the mound about being way over on the first base side of the rubber trying to hit that outside corner. There he is again. Now that ball right there is a two-seam fastball that will move away from the left-hand hitter. He's also trying to throw a little cutter a la Phil Hughes out there off the plate outside and bring it back on the corner. So two movements, different directions, trying to get that outside corner.
1-1 to Castro. Tomlin has given up opponent batting averages in excess of 300 to both right-handers and left-handers. In fact, right-handers are actually hitting him a little bit better than lefties, but even lefties are hitting him at a 305 clip. Just one hit for the Twins so far tonight. The Sano home run in the first. Swing and a miss, and it's 2-2. Twins have had a tough time with the Indians as of late. Just one win in the last 10 games going back to last year. 2-2. Castro sends one to center field. Chisenhall is there. Pretty good wind blowing in from right field, and Chisenhall makes the adjustment. One down. Praise FM invites you to join them at Target Field for Faith Day 2017. Comes up Sunday, May 28th. Watch the Twins take on the Rays at 1:10, then stay for a free post-game program featuring live worship music from Eagle Brook Church and testimonies by Brian Dozier and other Twins players. For details and to purchase tickets for Praise FM's Faith Day, visit twinsbaseball.com/faith. Byron Buxton, the batter, taking ball one. And a slow breaking ball and a strike to even the count. Buxton's hit 300 over his last 13 games. Scored 9 runs. Swing and a miss, and it's 1-2. Dozier on deck.
See all different kinds of speeds from Tomlin. That was an 85-mile-an-hour something. It's almost like he throws a batting practice fastball every once in a while. He throws about 89. His changeup's 82. And then when he gets in a fastball situation, sometimes I heard Robbie Grossman talking with hitting coach James Rowson about it today as I was watching the guys take early batting practice in the underneath cages. He said sometimes he just flops one up there around 85, 86. He said I have no idea what he's doing.
Buxton strikes out on a cutter or a quicker breaking ball.
Yep.
2 down. And that'll bring up Brian Dozier. Dozier back in the lineup last night, and the ankle was good enough for him to hit another home run.
You know what? He could have a broken ankle if he got that high fastball right there. He hit the ball in the seats. Brian is ever ready for that pitch right there.
Dozier lined out to the right fielder Geyer to start the ball game. First time through the batting order, and the Twins just have the Sano home run. And Dozier takes a strike on the outside corner. And now 1-1. Twins finished the month of April with a 12-11 mark despite being swept by the Indians at Target Field. So far in May, they are 5-3. And foul. And if the Twins can put together a winning record this month, it'll be the first time since 2011 that they have posted back-to-back winning months. They're off to a good start.
This will be a good test to see where they stand against some of the better teams in the league.
Dozier strikes out. Tomlin has another 1-2-3 inning. of scoreless innings for Ervin Santana. There hasn't been much on the pitching side that's gone right for the Twins since they stopped winning the division in 2010. But the signing of Ervin Santana is one of the best things that's happened to the pitching side of things in Minnesota in that time.
Boy, that is really the truth, isn't it? You can tell, as evidenced by these numbers, since last July 6th, almost coming up on a full year, there hasn't been anybody in baseball any better than Ervin Santana has pitched in Major Leagues.
Yan Gomes will lead off the third. Santana's given up a 2-out single to Michael Brantley, and that's been it. It'll be Gomes, Geyer, and Santana in the third. And Gomes takes outside, ball 1.
So pretty simple with Ervin Santana. He's going to throw a 4-seam fastball on the inside corner and the outside corner. Show you a lot of those, and then he's going to strike you out with that devastating slider that he's got, that he has an uncanny ability to throw on the, I'll call it the left-hand hitter's inside corner, outside corner to the right-hand hitter.
Falling behind Gomes 2-0, 25 pitches and only 14 strikes so far for Santana. Misses inside 3-0.
So that's what, when we talk about a pitcher's command, we're talking about being able to throw the ball for a strike in the location that he wants to throw it. And we've seen him now in this at bat miss outside and inside to Gomes, just not quite sharp. And there's outside, and that's when he doesn't have his command. That's the kind of at bat you'll see once in a while.
4-pitch walk puts Gomes aboard. Let's go to Andre Martin.
Guys, it's time for our State Farm combination. The Twins have a great thing going with the 1-2 punch of Ervin Santana and Hector Santiago. They're the first 2 Twins pitchers to start the season with at least 4 wins, and both with an ERA under 3 in their first 7 starts of a season since Jim Cott and Bert Blyleven did it back in 1972. Cott was 6-1 with an ERA just over 1, while Bert was 4-1 with a 2.63 ERA. Not bad company for those guys.
All 1 from Santana to Geyer. Yeah, those 2 guys, Cott, Blyleven, 570 major league wins. That's not bad.
You know, we've talked about a lot of rotations throughout history, but that would be tough to hit against. Any teams going into Minnesota from 1968 to 72.
Oh my gosh.
You can come out there 0 for 16 pretty easily.
Jim Perry, Dave Boswell, Louis Tiant was on the staff for a while. And there's a belt high strike 1-1 to Brandon Geyer.
And none could make you look any sicker than Bert Blyleven than trying to swing at Bert Blyleven's curveball.
Santana had a little visit on the mound or near the mound from Miguel Sano. And Sano cuts it off and fires, and Mauer's able to keep a toe on the bag. And we'll see if the Indians challenge it. Geyer standing on the bag. That's a nice pickoff by Sano, who was playing in on the grass. And diving to his left, he made a nice play.
He made a very nice play. He's been working on his footwork over there. Jumps up. He's got a great arm. Pulls Joe a little bit. And I don't know.
I don't think they're going to challenge this in the 3rd inning. Yep. Inconclusive on replay, and so Geyer is retired, and on the play Gomes goes to second base. 2 errors, both in the same game by Miguel Sano. I asked Paul Molitor today, would you consider him right now a plus defender? And he wouldn't go that far. He says there are plays that he makes that are on the plus side.
No question about that.
But I think the play we just saw is something that they still want to see. They want to see more plays like that, lateral movement, both to the glove side and the backhand side. Ball 1 with Santana falling behind again.
He's amazingly good, Miguel Sano, at charging swinging bunts or bunts, purpose bunts, barehanding and gunning the ball to first. He's like a big cat in terms of body control over there. If he goes deep behind the bag down the line, he's got a cannon for an arm. Those are definitely plus plays that he exhibits.
And missing outside 2-0. 32 pitches for Irvin Santana, only half of them strikes. Command that left him in his start against the Red Sox isn't razor sharp here tonight. A base open and Lindor on deck. Fell behind Carlos Santana 2-0 and then got him to roll over on a ground ball.
Careful here, a pretty good chance that Terry Francona will give him the green light, 3-0.
And 2 4-pitch walks here in the 3rd inning. Back a few starts, and I think it was his start against the Texas Rangers where Santana was struggling with his control, and he was had a come to Irvin moment all by himself out on the mound. He was pretty hard on himself and kind of got the ship righted again. Didn't require a trip to the mound from the pitching coach. The veteran was able to kind of scold himself a little bit and correct some things mechanically to start throwing more strikes. First and second one down, and now Lindor. On the ground, Bauer picks it up. He'll go to the bag. Everybody moves up 90 feet, 2 away. Gomes to third, Carlos Santana to second, and that'll bring up Michael Brantley.
You know, this is such a crazy mental grind of a game. When Irvin had that little come to Irvin meeting that you're with himself that you talked about, he was coming off 4 starts at least where he was razor sharp. And so when you've been razor sharp and you're used to that, then you can say, okay, here I want to go do that again and get yourself back. But he went through 3 starts, maybe now here 3+ into this one, where he's fighting himself a little bit, and it gets in your head. He's trying like crazy. He knows he doesn't have his best command, and he's trying to get it back. That's a really good pitch.
Little pop-up. Dozier running out in the outfield, makes the catch right in front of Kepler. Big-time play by Brian Dozier, thwarting an Indian rally, and it's still 1-0.
Coaches, he earned every bit of the trust and then took it and ran with it. He's really special. I mean, for a guy to get a job of like that magnitude at age 34, you have to be pretty special. He's we all miss him. I mean, we're thrilled for him, and that outweighs, but we miss him a lot. He's not just a valuable person in the organization, but he was also our friend. and still is.
Terry Francona talking about Derek Falvey, who's made his return to Cleveland here. The Indians, of course, getting to the World Series, almost winning it. And the Twins hiring Derek Falvey, who hired Thad Levine, and we're happy to have Derek with us. What's it been like for you to come back to Cleveland and see so many friends that you worked with for many, many years?
That's been great. It was good to see the team when they came up to Minnesota, but got to see all the guys I work with in the front office and just reconnect with people I hadn't seen in a while.
How did your role get expanded here? Because you kind of came here and they took a flyer on you, to be honest with you, and then over time your role really seemed to expand and mushroom rather quickly.
You know, I think when I came in as an intern,
Bauer grounds a single just off the tip of Santana's glove into right.
Mark Shapiro and Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff, my bosses at the time, gave me real opportunity in a number of different spaces. I had a chance to work in amateur scouting, some in player development, got involved in international scouting and each process there, and eventually over time built some skills in each of those spaces. And ultimately when Tito took over as our manager, had a chance to just connect with him, and we hit it off quickly and was really embedded with the major league team over that period of time.
Sano at the plate with Mauer aboard. Twins hoping to expand on a 1-0 lead. Sano, the first pitch he saw from Tomlin, hit one over the wall in right field. So we just want to be careful here we don't talk over the first pitch in this event. He takes a strike on the outside corner.
Derek, it's funny to hear you call Terry Francona Tito. Of course, that's his father's name, a guy that I watched when I was a kid and had his baseball card and all of that. But Terry Tito has said about you how much of a contribution that you made over the years in evaluating pitchers and in looking at ways to evaluate pitchers and in bringing information to them. Are there any things that you can describe that you learned, that you developed, that in that kind of evaluation?
Fly ball to center, hit right at Chisenhall for the first out.
You know, I think what I was really fortunate to be around was a number of great pitching people in this organization. Guys like Tim Belcher, Mickey Callaway, a number of our different people in scouting who had done some work in pitching, and I really devoured any information I could find in that space. And I think what I was able to bring to the organization was kind of a synthesized approach to that. And what we were able to do was build a program that came all the way through the minor leagues with arm strength building and what we were doing mechanically and ultimately pitch development that allowed us to eventually help some players along ultimately reach their ceilings.
Batter is Max Kepler, and he takes inside the ball.
And if you had only had that when you were a pitcher in college, right? When there's no telling, you might be here in another role.
I don't think there was anything that was going to get me to this level. So,
you know, it's interesting over time how the game changes, and then within that, the models change. For a long time, the Twins were the model franchise, winning divisions, contending for divisions year after year after year. And then Kansas City was the model for how to build an organization and develop pitching and all that. But now Cleveland seems to be the model. What is the Cleveland model, and how did it get established as quickly as it did here?
I think with our group, we always sought to find some guys who were overachievers and really had the makeup and the mindset to work and take each step on their development path and seek to make themselves better. So use information to make themselves better. Change their workout routines, commit to an off-season program. And I think in guys like Corey Kluber and Danny Salazar, Carlos Carrasco.
Kepler drives one to right. Retreating is Geyer, and on the warning track makes the catch out number 2. And a special moment for you today as you come back to Cleveland. You were presented your American League Championship ring, which you are not wearing right now.
And really, at least for one day. I mean, look at how beautiful that thing is.
It was a special moment. We had in Tito's office with Chris Antonetti and Mike Chernoff had a nice private moment there where they handed it to me, and that was very special for me. Those guys mean a great deal to me personally and professionally. So it's a good looking ring.
It sure is.
Kenny Vargas, the batter. And as we talked a moment ago about how the game has changed. So has the size of the ring. Roy Smalley held up his ring, and your Cleveland ring is about 3 times bigger than his.
And we won.
And I know things have changed over time. I like Roy's ring. That's a great ring right there.
1-0 to Kenny Vargas. Called out on strikes his first time up.
I mentioned to you, Derek, when we were looking at it, the ring that you have is just beautiful, and we were talking about wearing it or not. And I do wear mine a lot of the time. And you find that it's a community artifact. I wear it around because people like to see it, and the 1987 World Series, the first World Championship in Minnesota, it meant so much to the fans and the players, and the almost symbiotic relationship that there was between the two.
Vargas drops one into right field. Mauer will round second, slam on the brakes. He thought about it for a second. Vargas keeps the inning alive with the second hit of the inning.
And so it really is kind of a symbol of that everybody wants to see, and I feel like the fans in Minnesota owed it as much as I do. I think all of us feel that. All of us players feel that way.
No question. Felt the same way. I think the fans of Cleveland last year got behind that team and really found a way to support the run that this team went on. And I think what you're talking about, this is why we do this job. It's to have the pride in this team and the fans. And I can't wait to get our team in Minnesota to that level where we're competing, in those moments in the fall. To bring that type of championship caliber baseball to the Twin Cities.
Eddie Rosario, the batter. Twins trying to put together a 2-out threat here. 6 of their 7 runs last night in Chicago were produced with 2-out hits. Rosario fouls it back. I think it's fair to say, Roy, his '87 Twins team that won that first World Championship, they surprised everybody. The Twins got on, the fans got on a playoff run in September and ran through it. I, as someone who was part of it back in '87, I woke up about a month afterwards and realized this team got to and won the World Series. Was there that element of surprise for you with the Indians last year? You got a new job about a month later, but I mean, were you guys surprised that you did as well as you did?
I think, as Roy can attest, you get into a playoff scenario and those are the best teams in the game, and lots of things can go your way and maybe go against you in those situations. But when a team competes and comes together and you build a culture in that clubhouse that supports one another, special things can happen, and I think that was the case for this team last year.
1 and 2 to Rosario.
Had a conversation about just that kind of thing with Chris Jimenez, who also got his ring like yours today, and just saying, when you start in spring training and you know how hard it is to get to the top of the mountain, and you all look each other in the eye and you want to kind of lock arms and take the hill together, and so many times you don't, and when you finally do, it's a special relationship with each other as players all the way through the organization, isn't it?
Absolutely agree.
Twins leave a couple aboard. We'll have more with Derek Falvey. We'll talk about the Twins so far this year in 2017. Baseball presented by State Farm. Yes, Chris Jimenez got his American League Championship ring from the Indians today, as did Derek Falvey, our guest here in the 4th inning. Fans, of course, want to know when the next Twins championship is. And that's your job, to get the Twins to and win the World Series again. And we're imagining a World Series ring with the TC in diamonds and all that, but there's a lot of work to be done before that. How encouraged are you, based on what you've seen so far this year, that you're on the right track?
I think one thing we set out to do in spring training was, we talked a lot about this, but compete through the 9th inning of every game. Even the games that don't go your way, to make sure that we're playing good defense, we're pitching, and we're fighting to the last out. And that's what I've been most encouraged to see, is the quality of the defense and the way our guys have competed on the mound. We've had some innings that haven't gone our way, no question. But I think by and large, we've had a group of players, the 25 that we have every night, competing for each other every day they go out there.
And down and away, check swing and no swing. I think the game that jumps out at me, oddly enough, was a loss, and it was Irvin Santana's last start. Gave up a couple of home runs, down 4-0. Chris Sale's on the mound, but the team came back and got 4 runs against Sale to tie the game up, and then Leone hit his home run. They ended up losing the ball game. The Twins did, but they kept after it through the middle innings and all the way up until the end.
I think that's a great example, coming back in that game. I think you look at last night, in Chicago, and you get out to a big lead, and those guys fight back. It's tough to win a major league game. And when guys fight back and you have the ability in those last few innings to shut it down, that was special to watch.
3-2 to Encarnacion. He'll be followed by Kipnis and Ramirez. While Santana hasn't been sharp, he's pitched 3 shutout innings, and he issues another leadoff walk here in the 4th. Encarnacion will do that. He's got a good eye at the plate, draws a lot of walks, and now he's aboard. How will you and Thad Levine and the rest of the baseball department look at the next couple of weeks? You got the draft coming up. That's a separate issue. But as you look at this team, clearly the Twins have some warts. The Indians have some faults. Everybody seems to have some problems. How will you, or when will you determine, okay, these are things we can fix this year?
I think we have to assess that really on a month-to-month basis. At this stage, we've certainly done some review of our first month of baseball, a little bit more than that now, and we're evaluating each and every day the areas that we feel are sustainable moving forward, that we think are reflective of our talent and our ability, and maybe areas we need to adjust and adapt over time. So we'll address that as we move forward. There's a lot of baseball left in the season, and I think if we continue to compete and play the way we have, I'm hopeful that we're taking the step forward that we sought to this year.
1-1 the count to Kipnis. Hit a ground ball to Mauer his first time up, a sharp ground ball. Joe picked it off shortly after it hit the ground. And now popped up foul over the Cleveland dugout. Well, fans want to know, look, we're right now, by percentage points, the team's in first place. We're going to be buyers or sellers. Come on, it's May 11th. Can you give the fans an answer?
I think that's what's fun about baseball. Is you got to play the games and put yourself in a position in June, July to have to make difficult decisions.
1-2 to Jason Kipnis.
Right, June, July, not May 11th.
Exactly right.
One thing that you helped foster here, and it's admirable even from a distance, the Indians in recent years, and it was certainly the case last year, got better as the season wore along. They were a better second half team than first half team. It got them into the playoffs a couple of times, including last year. How do you foster that? How do you encourage that? Here's another ground ball to Mauer. He'll get the lead runner, and Kipnis will beat the relay.
No, I think that starts with Terry Francona and his staff and the way they go about their work with the team each and every day. And I think what's special about watching a coaching staff through the course of the season is that steadiness, that whether you've won 10 in a row or lost 10 in a row, in many ways you need to try and stay as steady as possible, because over the course of 162 games you're going to have some good stretches and some poor ones. It's the teams that find ways to snap out of those poor stretches and stay consistent throughout the course of the year that find an opportunity in August and September to really make that kind of run.
Here is Jose Ramirez. He had a pop up to Brian Dozier's first time up.
That kind of thing, Derek, starts at really at the atomic level. It just starts with the individual, and you can look at guys like Irvin Santana who can go through tougher streaks but keep grinding and get it back together. And hitters have to do that all the time. hitting comes and goes, and you have to grind through tough times and not get too high when you're in a hot streak, so that you come in. And I think it starts with the personalities of the individual players too, that then transcend into what your team personality is going to be.
Absolutely, and you see it with our club. You just talked about Irvin, as a veteran starter who really knows how to grind through a season when things are going, certainly when they're going well, but even when they're going poorly.
And that's off the glove of Santana, and Polanco makes a nice play to get the out. On the play, Kipnis advances to second base. 50 pitches now for Santana, just 25 strikes. And it looked like Santana deflected that ball, and it could have been a disappointing outcome for the Twins, but instead Polanco was able to stay with it for out number 2.
We have some young players here, to continue that last point, that are starting to go through that, what you're talking about, Roy, about going a little bit up and down through their careers and learning how to fight through that adversity. I think Byron Buxton's a great example of having gone through a tough stretch to start the year and stayed confident and worked consistently with our coaching staff, and has come through on the other end.
2 down, tying run at second, and Lonnie Chisenhall, the batter. And he takes strike 1. Chisenhall hit a ground ball to Dozier his first time up, and as he stands in there right now in his career, he's 1 for 18 against Irvin Santana. One strike to Chisenhall. And now 2 strikes. Well, Derek, this has been a Twins team that has played very well on the road. 9-4, best record in the major leagues on the road. If they can somehow manage to play that well at home, this could be a fun summer.
Yeah, I think over the course of a season, you certainly tend to start to play better at home as the weather warms up and otherwise, and if you can get those tough wins on the road, that can certainly set you up nicely for the summer. So our guys, I get back to it again, they compete every night out there, whether it's in front of our home crowd or out there on the road.
Busted bat bouncer to Mauer, and again Santana pitches around the leadoff walk. It's 1-0 Twins as we head to the 5th, and we thank Chief Baseball Officer Derek Falvey for the 4th inning visit. Caught up in a 1-0 ball game.
Right away, the first pitch that Miguel Sano saw the ball game as a third hitter, he deposited in the right field seats. That's the only run we have in the ball game so far, that home run. Irvin Santana has been fighting his command a little bit, but pitched very, very well despite that. And he's held the Cleveland Indians team scoreless through 4 innings.
And Santana's fought through some control issues to pitch 4 shutout innings, and now Jorge Polanco will lead off the 5th. Bottom third of the Twins lineup, Polanco, Castro, and Buxton facing Josh Tomlin. To strike over the inside corner. Polanco hit a ground ball to Carlos Santana his first time up. Bouncer up the line. 0-2. I don't know if I've ever asked you this in the midst of the Derek Falvey interview. I've remarked that as a Minnesotan, someone who was employed by the Minnesota Twins, it was, I would guess, sometime maybe right before Thanksgiving, where I woke up and it occurred to me that the Minnesota Twins won the World Series. I was aware of it, but it never really sunk in until weeks afterwards. And I'm wondering, for someone who had, you know, a lot of equity in the Twins organization and in the community, whether you experienced anything like that at all after the World Series.
You know, similar.
Belcher to second. Kipnis has an easy play.
It wasn't a disbelief or it took a while to sink in, but the euphoria, the community euphoria, was incredible. It just walking around, being in the community and having the excitement and the glow, I guess is the word, you know, lasts so long. It was almost dreamlike. So almost not to be believed, if I'm making sense. I mean, it was almost dreamlike. It really was.
Here's Castro. Hit a fly ball to center his first time up. And I think Chris Jimenez referenced it. Derek Falvey, if we'd have had more time with him, might have referenced it too. There's a permanence about winning the thing. Getting there's wonderful, and the Indians have every reason to be proud of having, you know, gone to Game 7 of the World Series. But there is a permanence about winning the World Series or any sports championship. You are a champion. You will always be a champion.
Yeah, there's a foundation or an anchor that gets established, I think, for an organization once you do that.
Castro hooks one into the right field corner, and Castro will round first and hold up there. That's a nice retrieve by Geyer in the corner. Had he not been able to get there, Castro would have had a double. Twins fans, if you can't catch the games on TV, you can stream them live on your mobile device with Fox Sports Go. Download the app, take Fox Sports North and, of course, Twins baseball with you wherever you go. 1 out single for Castro, and that'll bring Buxton to the plate. Buxton struck out swinging his first time up. 5 strikeouts for Tomlin. Bat barrel and taking ball 1. Castro flops back to the bag. A little skewed because Buxton, of course, struck out so much in the first weeks of the season. But the Twins have significantly cut back on their strikeout rate from the season rate of a year ago. And Buxton takes a strike 1-1. Last year, over the course of the whole season, it's a staggering number for somebody who played when you played. But the Twins struck out once every 3.94 at bats as a team.
Yeah, that is staggering.
And this year it's like 1 strikeout every 4.2, so it's trending in the right direction, and that's with Buxton striking out so much the first weeks of the season. Now ball line, thought by Ramirez, and Castro will be doubled off first. A bullet hit to the glove of Ramirez, and it's a line drive double play, and the Twins sent just 3 to the plate in the 5th. to the game, enjoying a pitcher's duel so far. The Twins starting to have some better swings against Tomlin, and Santana's pitched around some control issues. He's only given up 1 hit, but he has issued 3 walks. And he'll face Yan Gomes, Brandon Guyer, and Carlos Santana. 9 ground ball outs, couple of fly ball outs, and 1 strikeout for Santana. Oh, if you had some marshmallows, make some s'mores.
No, why can't we have one of those up here?
Oh, now come on. We have floor heat. We have ceiling heat. We've done everything they can do.
You won't let them turn the ceiling heat.
Well, it's on. What's
heat?
that bright red thing up there?
Oh, is it okay? Well, you told me it wouldn't get down here.
Put some sunscreen on my neck. Swing and a miss.
So we ought not be one up here, but it's okay if the players have the atomic engines blowing.
1 strike to Gomes. Drew a walk to start the 3rd. Got as far as 3rd base. Swing and a miss. And now we're seeing Santana perhaps sharpen his control a little bit in the middle innings.
Yeah, he really reached in and found some way to get back into a groove that he liked in the last couple innings when he put some guys on and promptly erased them at the same time.
0-2. Ball beaten into the ground and it came up and hit Gomes.
This is where, excuse me, Dick, this is where Irvin, when he does have his good command, is so tough because he can go inside. That's what he's going to do. He's going to come in with a fastball in off the plate. Didn't get it in there where he wanted to, but it was up. Change the hitter's eye angle, and then lurking there is always that strikeout slider. And he just has a tendency to be able to throw it. Here it comes on the outside corner. And oh, that was a nice piece of hitting right there.
Gomes pokes it into center. Looked like he threw it right where he wanted to, and Gomes just put the barrel on.
Yeah, it was a little bit higher than what he wanted, but it still was a good pitch. And I think the pitch before just didn't get inside enough. If he had buried that fastball in, it would have influenced Gomes away from that. But see, that's where he wants to throw that pitch. Sometimes you just have to say, you know what, big league hitter, he just got it.
And he's a catcher. He's calling Santana's game somewhat in the batter's box.
Well, everybody knows about that slider,
right?
And that's going to be the strikeout pitch. And
box stretch was presented by Jeep. Santana bare hands, throws to first, and the number 9 hitter advances Gomes to second base. Something that was kind of lost in the Indians' run last year. Fundamentally, they were very good.
Oh, absolutely, they were.
Lindor,
They're just a good team.
Just marveled at Lindor's impact on the lineup, and Jose Ramirez and Corey Kluber's leadership. But fundamentally, they were very good.
Well, they play the game the right way. They know how to play, and all of Terry Francona's teams are like that. They play the game the right way, and they understand how to play the game correctly. They can move guys over either via the bunt or the hit behind the runner or the sacrifice fly, as well as they can string 4 or 5 doubles together.
Carlos Santana takes inside ball 1. Drew a walk his last time up. One and 0. Santana to Santana. At the knees. 1. Right at the knee.
Yeah, with a lot of movement. That's a terrific pitch to get back in the count.
Pushing inside, 2-1. From his spikes.
The one thing that you also notice about Irvin is that even when he doesn't have his best command, you've seen him miss on the inside corner, not get the inside corner, but pitch inside, or not get the outside corner or the outside. But he doesn't. He rarely misses all over the plate. So he's trying to go in. That ball's in. And when he's really good, it's on the corner. When he's a little bit off, it's further inside. It's not leaking back over the plate, and that's what happened in the Red Sox game. A couple of balls leaked back over the plate when he was trying to go in, and the the Red Sox hitters made him pay for it. This is a good example of how he normally pitches, where the ball's going in the direction he wants to go.
Swing and a miss, 3-2. The 65th pitch of the night for Ervin Santana. Leadoff man has been on in each of the last 3 innings. In the 3rd inning, the Indians got runners to 2nd and 3rd. And in the 4th inning, they got a runner to 2nd base, and that's where Gomes is now with 1 out. And a walk will fill first base. Walk number 4 for Ervin Santana. Francisco Lindor.
Sinker there that looked like it caught the bottom perimeter of the strike zone. That's part of the hitter Santana's game, though. He draws an awful lot of walks. He doesn't swing at a lot of close pitches a lot of the time, and that's one of the reasons why we've got 2 non-prototypical leadoff hitters in the game today.
Strike 1 to Lindor. On left side of the infield, has probably never had so many great young stars. 3rd baseman, and now look at the list of shortstops. They're all young and they're all very, very good.
They really are. They're terrific players, fun to watch.
0-2 now to Lindor. Correa, Lindor, Bogarts, the American League, Addison Russell, Corey Seager, the National League. 2 strikes to Francisco Lindor. Santana has gotten 10 ground ball outs here tonight, but so far this year has had just 2 ground ball double plays. And a high fastball strikes out Lindor. He ran that one up there at 95 miles per hour. Second time that Lindor has fanned. In fact, no one else has struck out against Ervin Santana other than Francisco Lindor.
Sometimes a pitcher can really get a hitter confused, and I think that Lindor is just a little confused by Ervin. Ervin's pitched him, of all the guys in the lineup, pitched him really, really well all around the strike zone. He's thrown him several different kinds of movement on pitches, and I think Lindor was just totally confused. Usually when you're swinging a ball like that, it's because your mind has got all kinds of things going on in it. You just swing.
Brantley takes inside, ball 1. Brantley came up in the 3rd inning with runners at 2nd and 3rd and 2 down, and hit a little pop-up into right field. Brian Dozier with his back to the infield. He had a great catch to keep the Indians off the board. 1-0. And now 2-0. 70 pitches for Ervin Santana, just 38 strikes.
If you look at him inning by inning, there isn't anything that really stands out. The 4th and the 5th are a little bit more. I know Bert Blyleven talks about the 15 pitches in an inning that you kind of want to average.
And now 3-0. With Encarnacion on deck. Brantley has one of the 2 Cleveland hits, a 2-out single back in the 1st inning. And he walked him, nearly hit him, and the Indians now have filled the bases with a single and 2 more walks in the 5th. Encarnacion comes up with the bases full. Comes Neil Allen. Rare trip to the mound by the pitching coach in a Santana start.
think it's interesting to watch Neil Allen's demeanor. He goes out to the mound and he's smiling, and it's like everything's fine. You look good. How do you want to pitch this guy? And just let Irvin completely control what's going to be said out there and what he's thinking about. He just wants to give him a little breather.
And Sano lingers and offers a little more encouragement.
This is a tough at bat for Irvin, because Encarnacion is not prone to swinging at bad balls. Irvin doesn't want to give him anything in the middle of the plate, so he'll be shooting for corners here, trying to make the perfect pitches with the bases loaded to a guy that tends not to swing the ball outside the zone.
0 for 1 with a walk. Blocked by Castro. 1-0.
That was a good block. That was not an easy block. That was not straightforward. He just spiked this fastball right down on the ground.
The arm, the chest protector. 1-0. Five walks, a season high for Santana. He's never walked more than 3 in a game this year. 2-0 up and in. We just talked about how it seemed like Santana was sharpening his control, and then Gomes dumped the single to center. There's a bunt. No ball's been put in play since. There's been a strikeout and 2 walks. High pop-up near the Twins dugout. And Mauer over for a look, and it's out of play. 2-1. Bemused look by Irvin Santana.
Yeah, I think he knows he got away with one there. 2-0 fastball. You know Encarnacion was looking for it. A pretty good pitch to hit right there. And Encarnacion, we talked about whether guys were going to hit the mistakes or not. That was a not that time. And I think Irvin knows it.
2-1 to the Cleveland cleanup hitter. To center. Buxton is there for the catch. And Santana survives another shaky inning. It's 1-0 Twins. You're watching Twins baseball presented by State Farm. Starting pitchers have done a nice job. Santana's walked 5. Tomlin doesn't walk anybody, and the Twins have the 1 run on a home run.
Neil talking there about a fastball that I think he's asking Irvin if he was trying to get that ball letter high or what he was thinking about on a high fastball. It's the conversations between coaches and managers and players are really, really fascinating to be a part of. It's one of the things I really miss about being around teammates and coaches.
Well, look at that. Here he is. He's able to laugh about it, chuckle about it. There's no activity in the bullpen. He's still got at least another inning to go, and still he's able to decompress in the dugout.
That's one of the best things about Irvin, though. I mean, he just as Derek Falvey talked about keeping it, and Tom Kelly used to talk about keeping it an even keel, and TK meant it about, from game to game or streak to streak, and not get too high, not get too low. But Irvin's able to do that pitch to pitch, I think, and it's one of the best things about his personality is, look, I'm going to do the best I can. Sometimes I have it, sometimes I don't have it. But if I don't have it, I'm going to try to get it. But if it doesn't work, I'm going to come back and get again. I mean, it's just a great athlete's attitude.
Pitchers compliment to Robinson Cano of the Mariners. Robinson Cano, I hope he lives to be another 50 years, but high blood pressure won't ever claim Robinson Cano, right? And now we see kind of the same attitude with Irvin Santana. 1-2. There's a dribbler up the line, and Dozier, sore ankle and all, with a swinging bunt, gets a base hit to start the 6th. Let's go back to the Encarnacion at bat. Santana fell behind him but survived.
Well, he's trying to throw the ball all around the perimeter of the zone, nothing in the middle, and he missed low and then missed in. There's a pitch that Encarnacion wants to hit out of the ballpark, and then he does drill that one out to Buxton. You see Byron, who kind of just inexplicably dropped one the other day. Here's that bases loaded to pitch in Encarnacion really shook him up. You can tell he's having a hard time decompressing.
So look at that.
Well, he's just saying, yeah, can you believe I walked all those guys and went 2-0 on Encarnacion? Can you believe I did that?
There's Mauer, a single and 2 trips. A bunt up the line, and it will go foul. Tomorrow, the Twins are going to debut in 2017 Jose Barrios, and that is one of the thoughts that has been in Twins territory a long time, that Barrios can benefit from being around Irvin Santana, and in this case pitching directly behind him in the rotation. We've seen Barrios, and he's got all the talent in the world, but if it's possible to white knuckle a baseball and try to pitch it at the same time, that's him. And will there be some value in Barrios coming up and watching the demeanor between pitches and between innings of Irvin Santana?
Well, I would love for him to be here tonight and watch what Irvin has done tonight. Yes, there is value in watching what Irvin does. And the other thing that man right there does is he's not afraid at all to take Jose Barrios or anybody else under his wing and talk to him and say what's what about whatever he sees. And that's really important on a ball club, and Irvin will do that.
1 strike to Mauer. Side, while the Twins have the 1-0 lead, it's the Indians that have had leadoff men on a lot. Just the second time for the Twins, and that's our CenturyLink What's Next. It'll be Mike Clevenger, made his first start of the year, a successful one a few days ago, and Barrios will get the ball tomorrow night for the first time in 2017. Supposed to fly into Cleveland here tonight. It's available for the media or anybody else before the game. Mauer back to the glove of Tomlin. And it's a 1-6-3 double play. Tomlin, Lindor, Santana, and they're 2 away in the 6th.
There's some interesting, I don't know what the word would be, but some interesting personality developing on this Twins club. We're talking about Irvin Santana. He's without a doubt the leader of the pitching staff, and that's because of not only his talent and his performance, but also that demeanor and his attitude in the clubhouse with his teammates. And this big guy right here is starting to take over the ball club, in my opinion. His personality and the way he relates to his teammates, what it looks like he expects of himself, how good he wants to be. It looks to me like he's out there wanting to be the best player on the field and wanting to show that way. It's early, it's fledgling, but I think it's starting to develop.
Side. There are players who are immediately noticed when they walk into a room, and not just because of their physical presence, although Sano certainly has that. With their personality, and Puckett was one of them.
Yep.
Yeah, guys had a whole bunch of them in '87.
Yeah.
But
Yes, we did.
You know, without being too critical of Twins teams in the past, there wasn't a presence in the clubhouse, a commanding presence like this guy seems to have. And he's just taking a 4-pitch walk, and that'll get Kepler into play. And it's unfair to expect players who don't have it to produce it.
And I think it can be overrated having somebody, in the clubhouse that is the, acknowledged or implicit leader for whatever he's. I mean, that can really be overrated. But what I'm talking about is when your best players, and we had that in '87, when your best players are working hard to be the best players. It looks like they want to be the best players, and they act like they're kind of the backbone of the team. And I don't mean that in an arrogant way, but just because it's true, and they acknowledge it. They acknowledge it. It makes a big difference. It really does. And I just get the sense that that's starting to happen with Miguel Sano.
1-0 to Max Kepler. In the last couple innings with some big double plays. Kepler takes outside, and Tomlin, who hardly ever walks anybody, walks Sano on 4 and now falls behind Kepler. Well, let me ask you this. You were a hard worker, you had a great career, but did you ever beat Kirby Puckett in the clubhouse on game day? I mean, I'll bet you just about every time you showed up at the clubhouse, Puckett was already there.
What I thought you meant was, did I ever rival him in volume or volume on the dial, or volume in total number of words? No, never, ever. Nor did anybody else.
2-0 to Kepler. And now 3-0 with Vargas on. Time for our AARPs getting to know Max Kepler in the last 14 games against Cleveland. 6 home runs, 3 of them in one game. He had a great series here back in early August of last year. 3-0. And a strike after 7 straight balls thrown by Tomlin. Kepler with a pretty well hit ball to the left field corner, gathered in by Brantley in the first inning, and then he hit a liner sending Geyer to the warning track in right field in the 4th. On the outside corner, 3-2. Indians haven't been holding Sano on anyway, and so he'll take off here with 2 gone and a full count. Sano goes. Kepler chips it to left field, and retreating on the outfield grass is Ramirez to make the catch. Bottom of the 6th, still 1-0. For the Unlimited Baseball break, brought to you by T-Mobile. Jose Bautista heating up now. A couple of home runs in the last 3 games, but the Blue Jays leading Seattle tonight are still 9 games back of Baltimore. Carlos Correa and the white-hot Houston Astros looking for their 25th win of the year. And Evan Longoria with 10 doubles on the year, along with 5 home runs. And the Rays lead Boston. Herman Santana would love to have a nice, clean, efficient 6th inning. And he starts with a strike on the outside corner to Kipnis. One other baseball note, happy to report that Ron Gardenhire is going to rejoin the Arizona Diamondbacks on Sunday. Gardy, of course, underwent surgery in Minnesota, prostate cancer. And happy to report that the recovery has gone well, and he'll be back in uniform on Sunday.
That's great.
1-1 to Kipnis. Ramirez and Chisenhall will follow. Kipnis 0 for 2, a couple of ground balls. Down the line, foul. Kipnis strikes out, 1 away. You can follow Twins baseball live with the MLB.com @bat mobile app. Stay connected to the game's best players all season long with game day, live game video highlights, radio broadcasts, stats, news, and more. Download MLB.com @bat today, your #1 app for live baseball. 1 gone. First time in 4 innings that Santana's retired the leadoff man, and now inside to Jose Ramirez. You know, the Twins right there with the Indians in terms of team batting average and run production. In fact, the Twins have in fewer games scored a few more runs than the Indians. And there is a gap in team ERA, but that's mostly because of the bullpens. Twins bullpens had some really tough games the last couple of weeks, and the Indians has been lights out.
They're lights out.
Right. And the Twins have fielded the ball better with about half as many errors as the Indians. There's a strike on the outside corner. So as long as those and some of the other more detailed metrics encourage it, the ball hit sharply. Mauer with a nice play on the glove side, 2 away.
Speaking of defense,
Yeah.
I'll tell you what, Joe. There's not anybody playing any better first base than Joe's playing right now. He's been really good.
We've seen range at first base, but also, you know, his throws. Of course, former catcher, you'd expect him to be good, making throws across the infield, but he's just so strong at that. See a bad throw on a throw to second base, for instance.
Strong and accurate. Yep. Yeah, he's been good in all phases of it. He really has.
Here's Chisenhall. Santana would love to get a quick 3rd out here, maybe go out there for some 7th inning duty. Brandon Kinsler walked by Santana's locker today and encouraged the notion that a starter ought to be able to go 9. Kinsler had to get 5 outs last night. 1 strike to Chisenhall. Pulled 2 ground balls to the right side against Santana. Foul into the camera well. Over by Audra.
It is. So she's okay.
Audra, you all right? 2 thumbs up. All right.
That makes me nervous. That ball comes in there. It's kind of screaming in there sometimes.
I don't know about her laptop, but Audra's okay. It's just expensive, right? If the laptop is shot.
You don't be afraid to use it. Oh, it did hit it.
Yeah.
Oh my. It's okay.
That's her portfolio, though, not the laptop.
Not the laptop. Use whatever it takes. Don't get hit.
1 and 2. That was your attitude at short too, wasn't it? I mean, you know.
To use my chest as a laptop.
Whatever.
Absolutely.
Knock the ball down.
Well, more at third base than shortstop. You didn't have as much time. The shortstop, you really wanted to catch it cleanly if you could.
2 and 2 to Chisenhall. High pop up, short left. Rosario will wait for it. and put it away, and Santana has his second 1-2-3 inning in the 6th.
Santana got working on a jam. It's 1-0 Twins, and Twins fans, don't forget at Twins home games, bring your circle me signs. If you get circled, you may find yourself in the Minnesota Lottery winner's circle, where you could win $100 worth of lottery scratch-off tickets, courtesy of the Minnesota Lottery.
2 more games here in Cleveland, and the Twins have a homestand hosting the Rockies and the Royals. Kenny Vargas will lead off the 7th inning for the Twins. Single to right his last time up. Matter of a little more than 4 hours, I guess. It'll be the start of the 2017 fishing opener. We want to wish everybody luck, but safety, of course, and hope that everybody enjoys what looks to be a really good weather weekend out on the lakes and rivers.
Well, it sounds like it's beautiful in Minnesota.
Vargas slices one foul, 0-2. Hitting the Indians 5-2. Tomlin's out there. He's a little bout of control issues of his own in the 6th inning, but had a double play and helped him get out of the inning. Rosario will hit next. 1-2. Vargas way out in front, strikes out 1 away. Second strikeout for Kenny Vargas, and that'll bring up Rosario.
Here's the big overhand curveball from Tomlin, and at 73 miles an hour, when you have that big a disparity from his fastball at 88, 89, and he'll throw a little nothing fastball or a cutter at 85-ish, throw a little sinker, then 73, big slow curveball. He has a straight changeup as well. He just dinks and dunks. There's nothing special about his stuff.
The ground hit right to Lindor.
Except his ability to mix it up.
2 down. Polanco. Tomlin, who had a couple of really rough starts in his first 2 starts against the Diamondbacks and White Sox, started turning things around against the Twins. Had a really good start his last time out, something like this start against the Royals in Kansas City. 7 innings, just 1 run allowed. And he's been pretty good again here tonight. Polanco takes a strike on the outside corner. And the Indians need that. They need, in the absence of Kluber, and the hope is he'll get back and get into a Corey Kluber form. You know, right now, you'd have to say that the Twins rotation's in a little bit better shape than the Indian rotation, because the Twins have 2 starters that are very sharp, Irvin Santana and Hector Santiago, and right now the Indians have just 1, and that's Carlos Carrasco.
Yeah, Tomlin hasn't been good except the last start plus this game. Trevor Bauer hasn't been good at all. Salazar's been kind of a mystery.
Hooked to the corner with foul. And basically, the two teams are going to run out their number 5 guys tomorrow. Clevenger's had a little more success up here than Barrios has to this point. And then it's Bauer against Santiago on Sunday. There's Clevenger. 2-2. Hit hard to left center field. Down for a hit. And it is cut off by Chisenhall, but Polanco's still going to second with a double. A 2-out double, and that'll get Castro to the plate. First hit for Polanco.
Good 2-strike hitting right here. Little change up that was up a little higher than Tomlin wanted, but Polanco stayed with it very, very well after pulling the ball foul in the seats. 2 strikes, stayed with it, running hard right out of the box. And he got that double by his speed out of the box, not there at the end. He was, a lot of times doubles are made right out of the first 3 or 4 steps you take out of the box. That was one of them.
Here's Castro, see if he can back up Polanco's 2-out hit with one of his own. 1 for 2 on the night. Showed you Fox Tracks. That was presented by Carrier. 1 strike to Castro.
Be an awfully big run to pick up here. You know, that bullpen is lurking out there all the time, and we want to get a bit of a lead, 2, 3, 4 runs. If you get behind, then you're going to see the parade of Shaw, Miller, and Cody Allen.
High chopper over the mound. Kipnis with the play. A nice play to end the top of the 7th inning. Home half of the 7th coming up with the Twins up 1-0. Pitchers duel.
Well, it's brought to you by Miguel Sano and Irvin Santana. Sano with a home run in the first inning for the only run of the game so far, thanks to Irvin Santana pitching a masterful game when it really looked like he didn't have his best command, but he has found it in each of the innings that he struggled with his command. He's been able to find out a way to put the Indians hitters away, and it really has been maybe one of his best outings, just because he has not been perfectly sharp, and yet here he is with a 2-hit shutout into the 7th.
Sano with some more words for Santana. Combo seems to be working pretty well. Who needs Neil Allen to send Sano in from third base? He seems to have a nice influence on Irvin Santana.
Irvin says, get back over there where you belong and let me do what I'm doing.
Jan Gomes got a leadoff walk in the 3rd, ended up at third base, got a leadoff single in the 5th, and got as far as third base. Sano guarding the third base line. And a first pitch strike to Gomes. Then Geyer, then Santana. No activity in the Twins. Well, I beg your pardon. They do have left-hander Taylor Rogers getting loose, it looks like. A drive to the gap. Buxton chasing it down. One away. I'm learning. That ball looked like a double when it left home plate, but I'm learning.
This copyrighted telecast is presented by authority of the Minnesota Twins and may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form. And the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of Minnesota Twins, LLC.
One down, and here's Brandon Guyer. Guyer bounced to third, laid down a sacrifice bunt. Ball one.
Well, Byron Buxton really does have to teach you, because there are balls that are hit that when they are hit, you just don't believe, as we look at Taylor Rogers getting loose in the bullpen just in case. There are balls that are hit out there that when, as soon as they're hit, you're not used to seeing the center fielder get to them at all, much less as easily as Byron gets to some of those. It's one of the best things he does is close on the ball. You know, you can get good jumps, you take good routes and all that kind of stuff. Still, his closing speed from where nope, he's not going to get it, to oh my, yes he did. It's just amazing.
And almost had to pull up at the end to
Oh,
make
that
the
one,
catch.
that one was no problem.
1-2 to Guyer, and 1-3, 2 down. Now you look up, and Santana set down 6 men in a row at the end of his outing, or toward the end anyway. This is your chance to play catch on the same field as your Minnesota Twins. Following the Twins home games on May 27th or July 9th, you're invited onto Target Field for this unique experience. To learn more and get your ticket to Catch on the Field, visit twinsbaseball.com/catchfield. 2 down, bases empty, and so Santana will get a chance to face Santana. Irvin has walked Carlos the last 2 times up. If there were men on base, Carlos Santana's been better from the left side than the right side, we might have seen Taylor Rogers come in here. But as it is, bases empty, and Irvin will face Carlos. 1-0. Foul. 1-1.
The thing about this Indians team, they really have not swung the bats the way they're probably going to by the time the season's over, but each and every one of them has the ability to hit the ball out of the ballpark, much like the Twins. This guy especially is not a prototypical leadoff hitter. He draws a lot of walks, but he can go deep.
And Santana shades the outside corner to get ahead, 1-2. Given is struggling just off the disabled list. He'll get better. Pitch number 99 for Irvin Santana. The mound, bounding to Polanco, and a 3-up, 3-down 7th. 1-0 Twins. You're watching Twins baseball, presented by State Farm. Irvin Santana getting handshakes after 7 shutout innings. Byron Buxton will lead off the 8th inning. Cleveland starter Josh Tomlin's out there too. Buxton is 0 for 2, a strikeout, and he lined to third and lined into a double play. Strike one. Ramirez, the third baseman, is in right on the edge of the grass. And Buxton hit a bullet, but Ramirez caught it, turned it into a double play. On the ground now to Lindor.
Whoa.
Very close. One away.
Now, see, you say you're learning about Buxton chasing the ball down in center field. Shortstops are going to have to learn about you can't lay back on the ball. There's a routine ground ball to short to a good defensive player with a strong arm. And that was bang, bang at first base.
One down, and now Dozier. 1 for 3, a swinging bunt of the third base line, his last time up. On the ground, Kipnis is over there in the shift. And a couple of quick outs here in the 8th inning. Time for something to smile about, presented by Cricket. And pretty much any time Irvin Santana's been given the ball to start a game, Twins fans have something to smile about.
And just watching how he goes about doing what he does makes me smile. It's just fun to watch. You know, you can see the plan he has in his mind. You can see where he's trying to throw the ball. You can see why he's trying to do what he's doing, and it's been really, really fun to watch this. Well, since last July 6th, as we showed you.
Mauer takes a strike, 1 for 3. Double play his last time up. And the difference in the game is Miguel Sano's opposite field home run back in the first inning. Tomlin has been very good again here tonight. Flip the outside corner, now the inside corner to get ahead of Mauer. 0-2.
So he threw a little cutter out there off the plate that came back and clipped the outside corner. Now he throws the 2-seamer. That's the running fastball. It's Foxtrack says it's inside. I would always bet on Joe on the inside play like that.
They try to go back outside. Joe won't chase, and he's been called out on pitches in the outside corner or thereabouts 4 times in the last week. Famously or infamously by Craig Kimbrell, who almost had a breaking ball slip out of his hand and it broke near the outside corner. Mauer was called out. Kimbrell admitted he got a very generous call. 2-2.
I've been riled up about that for too long.
I'm sorry to bring it up.
I'm not going there.
And Mauer got a piece of it, protecting the outside corner there. How about Kimbrell last night? Struck out the side on 9 pitches.
He can do that.
They have a term for that now, the immaculate inning.
Is that a stat? Is that a new stat?
I've never heard that term before.
Can you take that in a negotiation and say, well, hey, wait a minute, I had 3 immaculate innings last year, and that's worth more money.
2-2. And on an off-speed pitch, Mauer strikes out. And Tomlin with 8 very impressive innings against the Twins, but he trailed 1-0. so far. 7 really good innings by Irvin Santana. Now the Twins, who got good bullpen work in yesterday's game and the win in Chicago, will hope for 2 innings worth of the same here tonight.
Taylor Rogers will come on and get the bottom of the 8th, try to get the Twins to Kinsler in the 9th, and he's got his work cut out for him. He's so good against left-hand hitters. Right-hand hitters have given him a problem and have been a problem for Taylor. And this is going to be a good test. He's got a good right-hander in Lindor. He's got Brantley, the left-hander, and then Encarnacion. So Taylor Rogers is going to need to get past 2 good right-handed hitters here in this inning.
Outside ball 1, and if someone should reach, left-handed hitting Jason Kipnis would be the 4th batter this inning. 1-0 to Lindor. 0 for 3, 2 strikeouts against Irvin Santana. On the ground, Polanco. Big hop, he stayed with it, and Mauer stays with the low throw, the 1-hopper at first. Polanco stayed with a nasty hop on the backhand side, and then Mauer picked him up with a scoop at first.
Now those are 2 real good picks right there. Watch this hop, this last hop, right, bounce up. Polanco knows he has to get rid of it. That's a tough hop for Joe to make. It's an in-betweener. Joe stays with it. That's a big out right there. 2 really nice plays.
1 down, and now Michael Brantley. Single, a pop up, and a walk for Brantley. Strike 1.
Boy, that's important for Taylor Rogers to get a strike with that fastball against both right-handers and left-handers, but especially good left-hand hitters like Brantley, who can hit left-handed pitching. We show him that fastball. Now he's going to go back inside. I know they're up a little bit.
Now 0-2.
And he's got that curveball lurking, that really tough breaking ball to left-handers. You can't throw that all the time. You have to be able to show him that you can beat him with fastballs.
And Belisle warming up. Well, the right-handed number is coming down a little bit.
Yep.
308. A little more work to do there. 0-2 to Brantley. And held up. Looked like he was ready to offer at it. It's 1-2.
That curveball is so tough on left-handers. You watch this, it breaks and it breaks and it breaks again. And left-hand hitters have a real hard time seeing it. They see it, they think they're on it, and there's more break and it's sharper than they think.
Fastball zipped inside, 2-2. Encarnacion on deck.
Here's the strikeout curveball he's going to try to throw right here.
Brantley takes 3-2.
Got to get it closer to that. Normally he'll throw that right at the just inside middle of the strike zone, and it breaks to the outside corner or beyond, and left-hand hitters can't lay off of it. That was just, it started too far outside. Once a curveball starts that far, then the hitter knows it's not going to be a strike.
Big pitch. And a base hit for Brantley, rolling it right up the middle. So Rogers gets the right-handed batter and yields a base hit to a veteran left-handed batter. And now Encarnacion will bat with Kipnis in the on-deck circle.
And that's just a result of Rogers not being able to get his curveball over. Either one of those curveballs he throws in for a strike and he'd get him right there, but he wasn't going to get him on a 3-2 fastball. And Paul Molitor is not going to have his left-hander pitch to Encarnacion.
Belisle warming up. And Belisle will get the ball with 1 out and 1 on here in the 8th. right-handed batter out. Brantley got his second hit. He's reached 3 times tonight. And now Edwin Encarnacion will face Matt Belisle with the tying run on and 1 out. Belisle has had some disappointing outings lately. Even the outing yesterday, he faced 3 men, but he walked 2 of them. And then the Twins' other relievers picked him up, ended up winning a 1-run ball game. I hope that will be the outcome here. You can see the overall numbers against lefties and righties. The batting average is very respectable. Encarnacion is wrapped into 4 ground ball double plays this year. Last night, Belisle's had a couple of blow-up innings, including 2 outings ago against the Red Sox. Third of an inning, 6 earned runs. High pop-up. Mauer, Dozier, and dropped. They've got a force play at second base, and they get the out. Mauer and Polanco collided, and Polanco said, "That's my fault." So the Twins don't commit an error, but a drop pop-up hitting the ground. Encarnacion is at first, 2 away.
Not happy with missing yet another pitch that he thinks he should hit. Now there's a little confusion right away. Nobody knows who's going to take it, and so the shortstop Polanco comes charging in. But by that time, Joe had really gotten camped under it. You can see it right here. Polanco runs into Joe, hits off the heel of his glove. Belisle very alertly comes, bare hands the ball and gets the force a second. So it could have been disaster, and it turned out just fine. As a matter of fact, I think they did it on purpose to get the slower runner on first.
That's Mauer's ball, right?
Yes, that's Mauer's ball, and he was calling. And what happened is Polanco decided somebody needed to take charge and was just yelling constantly, "I got it, I 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 got it." And then when you're doing that, a lot of times you don't hear the other guy that's camped under it that's also yelling at the same time.
1 strike to Kipnis. No ball. And the end result is just what you talked about. Encarnacion doesn't run nearly as well as Brantley. Belisle would like to make that a moot point, getting Kipnis to pop the ball up to Dozier. Dribbled up the line, 1 and 2.
Watching this Indians lineup coming up here to the plate against the Twins, you see what manager Terry Francona has at his disposal here. The way he's put the lineup together, Lindor hitting second as a switch hitter, the left-handed Brantley followed by the right-handed Encarnacion, followed by the left-handed Kipnis, and then the switch hitter Ramirez. That little row of hitters right there, very, very dangerous and tough for the opposing manager to match up relievers against.
Foul by about 2 feet. Mauer with a leap and a stretch. And there was enough hook on that soft line drive to just place it on the other side of the line. One and two to Kipnis.
I think if Joe jumps up there right and tips that ball, I think it would have been in fair territory when he touched it.
C.B. Buckner looking down the line, ruled that it was either touch in fair territory, over fair territory, or foul.
That's where the ball is.
Yep.
Glove contacts.
1 and 2. To left, and Rosario waits. And the bullpen pitches a scoreless 8th, and we head to the 9th. Still 1-0. see NASCAR is on FS1 as the Monster Energy Series goes to Kansas in the Go Bowling 400. The green flag drops at 6 Central, only on FS1. A 1-0 ball game, and Nick Goody, who's been a part of a really good, no pun intended, really good bullpen. He's been lights out for the Indians.
He has called up from AAA earlier in April, and he is not allowed an earned run yet in 11 1/3 innings. He's pitched 11 1/3 and gotten 11 outs via strikeout. So opponent batting average very low. He is, I guess that's what you call lights out.
Think of the Indian bullpen, of course you think of Miller and you think of Allen and Shaw and McAllister. Well, this guy's been awfully good, and that's why the Indians, even though they haven't hit as well as they think they will, and starting pitching has some issues this year, they're still 3 games above 500. Here's Sano to start the 9th. A home run on the first pitch he saw back in the first inning, hitting it to right field. And since then, a fly to center and a walk. Sano leading the American League in on-base percentage, and he's been on base twice with the home run and walk. Swing and a miss, 0-1. Talked about the Twins' futility against Cleveland, winning just 1 game. Well, here's why. 3 earned runs in 40 1/3 innings.
But the inherited runner scored in 40 innings. One runner that they inherited got across the plate. That's amazing.
So no one drives it down the right field line, foul. You know, and the Indians swept the Twins in the 3 games at Target Field. It was supposed to be a 4-game series, but the Twins had 2 winnable games there. They just didn't get it done at the end, and that very much like this game here today. It's a 1-run game, and whoever outperforms the other team in the late innings is going to win. At Target Field, it was the Indians. So far here tonight, it's been the Twins. 2 strikes to Sano. And now 1-2.
Well, the odds are always if the Indians have a lead, they're going to win. You know, late in the game, they're going to win with that bullpen. The key to beating them is to get the lead yourself, and then it's up to the bullpen to finish the deal.
1-2 to Sano. Half swing, but he went. And Goody strikes out Sano, 1 away. And now the succession of relievers will continue.
Terry's Francona's specialty. 3 sliders in a row to Miguel Sano. Miguel had his pull mindset. You see how quickly he opened up there before he really saw the ball. And that causes your hands to come forward, and you swing unintentionally.
Goody leaves having gotten his man. Kepler will face a lefty when we come back. Flex plan, you can receive 20 digital tickets and enjoy all the benefits of being a Twins season ticket holder. The Flex plan gives you the flexibility to choose only the games you wish to attend all the way up until the first pitch. Learn more at twinsbaseball.com/flex. The guy on the right, Sano's flexed his muscle here tonight. His home run, the only run of the game. And now Max Kepler will face Boone Logan here with 1 out in the 9th inning. He's actually given up some runs. Kepler struggling against left-handers, just 4 for 28, a double and a triple, and 7 strikeouts. Or the inside corner, strike 1. Kepler's hit the ball hard twice tonight, but doesn't have anything to show for it. Deep fly to left in the 1st, a liner to right on the warning track of the 4th, and he popped up in the 6th.
He's got nothing to show for hitting the ball hard for a while here last week. He's been hitting in some tough luck. He hasn't been exactly sharp. Hasn't really had a Max Kepler streak yet, but he has hit some balls hard and right at people.
1-1. Line to Santana, and Kepler's hard luck night continues.
And hard luck week. Yep.
2 down, and that'll bring up Vargas. Now, good at bat. Sometimes we give you numbers, but that's something that'll be noted probably in both dugouts, that Kepler hung in there against a lefty and hit the ball hard.
Yeah, we saw some splits that didn't look very good. I think 143 against left-handers, but I believe he's going to hit left-handers. His defense in the outfield and the way he hits right-handers will at some point get him in there enough against left-handers where he'll do just fine.
Saw Kinsler up. We'll get the 9th inning. Vargas getting a right-handed at bat. 0-1. This year, Vargas has been much better from the left side of the plate. I checked with Paul Molitor last year. We showed you the numbers. Vargas was much better from the right side of the plate, but that was up here. Paul made a point of saying in the minor leagues last year, Vargas had some holes in his swing from the right side, and they just didn't show up in the big league. So the right side is definitely Vargas's weaker side. So we talk about having a power threat, a switch hitter. See, that's kind of the way it went for Vargas last year at AAA. 1-2.
Yeah, Kenny surprised everybody last year with his right-handed production, because that's what we had heard, that he was so much better left-handed.
Yeah, picking the outside corner, a foul.
He came up and really swung the bat well. Looked like he was very comfortable right-handed last year, but has not found it yet this year. Of course, not had an awful lot of bats up here, but even down in AAA, he was not swinging great. So look at James Rowson. Very impressed with James Rowson, the hitting coach. I watched him work with guys a lot today. I really like some of the things that he was saying.
Last year, Vargas had 45 at bats from the right side, 17 hits, 4 doubles, and 5 home runs. 1-2. Twins DH, single and 2 strikeouts tonight. Swing, strike 3. The Cleveland bullpen gets the job done in the 9th inning. And Brandon Kinsler had to get 5 outs last night. He's just hoping to get 3 tonight.
Brandon Kinsler is always mad at the world.
Salt dog. He's always salty.
If you just watched his body language on the mound, you don't know what's going on.
There's always something wrong with him that day.
But he's a big competitor, loves to win.
That guy just comes out and he knows his strength and he goes right after it.
He's fun to be around.
Well, he really went after it last night. Asked to get 2 outs in the 8th inning. He got a couple of big strikeouts to quell a White Sox threat. Then he had a 3-up, 3-down 9th inning, and the Twins had a very impressive win last night in Chicago, and now this one would be in that category as well.
It absolutely would be. This would be one of the best wins of the season if Brandon can close it out. It's going to be a tougher duty, I think, against these Indian hitters, especially the first one here in Ramirez. Really, really good hitter, and he got helped out in Chicago. Guys swinging had some bad, really bad balls, which is not to say that Brandon didn't do a really good job, but he's going to have to be on his game. Heavy sink, hard, 93, 94 mile an hour sink. He's got to throw it in the strike zone.
Ramirez stands in and takes ball 1. Ramirez on the night has not gotten the ball out of the infield. 2 ground balls and a pop-up. There's the outside corner. Again, and it's 1-2.
Not really sure what Ramirez was thinking. Taking that pitch, it looked like he was looking for something else, but that's Kinsler's bread and butter pitch. He's going to try to go up and out over the plate.
Grounder to short. Polanco scoops, fires to Mauer, 1 away. Ramirez retired, and now Lonnie Chisenhall.
Big first out right there, getting Ramirez. He's actually swinging the bat pretty well, especially left-handed. Kinsler overpowered him.
Chisenhall 0 for 3. Strike 1, 93 on the corner. A swinging strike 2.
Well, this is very interesting. Jason Castro has wanted the ball up to Lonnie Chisenhall all night long. I understand it with Irvin Santana, who can throw four-seam fastball, straight fastball, 92 to 93, 94. But with the sinker ball pitcher, he's going right back up in the strike zone. So less sink, more just velocity.
And fouled over the screen. Up but away, right? I mean, he's not.
Yeah, he's trying to throw the ball middle to outside of middle and up in the strike zone. But Lonnie Chisenhall, the scouting report of him, very good low ball hitter, as many left-handers are. But this is interesting that Brandon Kinsler can go away from his strength, the sinker, and throw the ball straight and high. Oh.
Might have fooled Mark Carlson.
Maybe. That was pretty good. A lot of movement on that. Less sink, more side to side. You watch this up and moving. Yeah, right at the upper tier of the strike zone. Pretty good pitch. I think that movement fooled the umpire. I think you're right.
1-2. To center. Buxton calling for it. 2 down.
Very nice pitching there by Brandon Kinsler. I'm impressed by the fact that he can be a sinker ball pitcher most of the time, but when there's a good low ball hitter up there, that he can go up in the strike zone and not have it sink down into the swing.
The first one was thigh high, and everything else was at the belt.
Everything else was right up there at the top of the strike zone where it's tough on Chisenhall. That was really well done.
Now Yan Gomes, last hope for the Indians.
Now he can go back to sinker slider. Here comes it. Castro wanted the slider. He's gonna pound in first.
Bouncer to short.
Ground ball.
Polanco sets,
really nice.
Fires, and the Twins beat the Indians 1-0. Sano's home run in the first inning, enough to secure the victory.
Well, as good a ball game as you're going to see the Twins win. As big a game, beat this, come in on the road and beat a good Cleveland Indians team 1-0. That's as good a win as the Twins, this young Twins team has had this year and maybe in quite a while.
Most of the time, Tom Hanneman, the Twins, when they have won as of late, they've bludgeoned the other team. This a different ball game as the Twins, in a nail biter, again, pick up a 1-run win.